Hi, my name is Jason, and I attend the Novi Adult Transition Center. We received a grant from the Novi Educational Foundation to explore the diverse backgrounds of Novi families through food and culture. As part of our grant, our class purchased several books that highlight food and culture. Today's book is Lailahs Lunchbox, a Ramadan Story, by Reem Faruqi, illustrations by Leah Lyon. "We won't be needing this for a while," said Lailah's mother, hanging up Lailah's lunchbox. "Imagine, I won't be eating lunch for a month," replied Lailah with a twirl. "I won't have to pack lunch for a month," said her mom with a bigger twirl. The year before, Lailah had wanted to fast with her best friends, Hind and Ishred, during Ramadan. But Lailah's mom had insisted she was too small. Remembering that, Lailah stopped twirling. She missed her friends. Moving from one continent to another had been hard. On the map in her atlas, North America and the Middle East were 10 inches apart. But in real life, she was so much farther away. She wished she was only 10 inches away from Hind and Ishred. She knew the sign by the highway said, "Peachtree City, you'll love to call it home." But she didn't agree with the sign. Abu Dhabi still felt like her home. The next morning before sunrise, Lailah's mom gently nudged her. "Lailah," she whispered, "Sari time." Lailah chomped on her chocolate pancakes with her eyes closed. "Delicious," she said. "Come, let's pray now," said her mom. After Sari, Lailah snuggled back into her bed until her mom woke her up again, this time for school. As she left the house, her mom handed her a note. "Lailah, please give this note to Mrs. Penworth." Without her lunchbox to carry, her fingers felt extra free and swingy. She felt so light she skipped to the school bus stop. On the school bus, she read her mom's note. "Dear Mrs. Penworth, this will be Lailah's first time fasting for the month of Ramadan, so it is an exciting time for us. Please excuse Lailah from lunch for this special month. Thanks, Mrs. Malik." Lailah didn't feel so bouncy anymore. What if Mrs. Penworth didn't know about Ramadan? No one else would be fasting with her. She folded the note into a teeny tiny square and hid it in her book bag. Lailah walked slowly to her class. Her throat felt dry all morning. When lunchtime arrived, she still hadn't given Mrs. Penworth her note. "Lailah, did you forget your lunch?" asked Mrs. Penworth. Lailah opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Samantha volunteered. "I'll share my lunch with Lailah." Mrs. Penworth shook her head. "Thank you for the offer, Samantha. But Lailah, please get a sandwich from the cafeteria." Lailah followed her classmates to the cafeteria. "Lailah, do you want some of my cream roll?" asked Anna. Lailah thought of telling Anna she was fasting, but she didn't think anyone at Sunnyvale Elementary School knew about Ramadan. "No thanks," she started to say. "I didn't bring my—" "Are you sure?" asked Anna, unwrapping the cream rolls. Lailah watched the cream roll get smaller and smaller, and she didn't feel so sure. Cream rolls were her favorite. She looked away. Her nose still smelled food. Lailah wished she had given Mrs. Penworth a note. Even Isaiah's bologna sandwich looked tasty. And Lailah didn't even like bologna. Her stomach rumbled. Suddenly she had an idea. While everyone was busy eating, she sneaked out of the cafeteria. Her stomach stopped growling. "Why, Lailah, it's a pleasure to see you. But what brings you here at lunchtime?" asked Mrs. Carmen, the librarian. Lailah felt safe among all the books. She opened her mouth, and this time her words tumbled out. Lailah told Mrs. Carmen that Mrs. Penworth and her classmates didn't know she was fasting. She told her how she missed Hind and Ishret. It felt good to tell someone all the words that had been inside her mind all morning, and especially to tell her about Ramadan. Mrs. Carmen understood. "You must feel special to fast this Ramadan," said the librarian with a smile. "I do," said Layla. "But why is it so hard to explain?" "You know what I always do when I can't get my thoughts out, or when I get shy about talking?" asked Mrs. Carmen. "I write my thoughts down." Layla got to work. She wrote neatly, adding extra loops to her capital L. She worked so hard her cheeks turned pink. "Dear Mrs. Penworth, I didn't forget my lunch today. It's Ramadan. My mom finally let me fast. This means I won't be eating lunch for a month. Sincerely, Layla. P.S. I'm Muslim. P.P.S. My mom wrote you a note too. Here it is. P.P.P.S. Here's a poem I wrote about Ramadan. Ramadan is a month Muslims celebrate, a time to count our blessings and appreciate. Muslims fast before sunrise to sunset, but wait, that's not all just yet. Ramadan is a time for lots of prayer. We help the poor people to show we care. So in the day I won't be eating any food, but hopefully will stay in a good mood. Layla hurried back to the cafeteria to join her class. Before school was out, she quietly dropped both notes onto Mrs. Penworth's desk. The next morning, Layla swung her fingers as she waited for the school bus. Would Mrs. Penworth like her poem? Layla hoped Mrs. Penworth would think she had forgotten her lunchbox again. She slowly climbed each step on the school bus. In class, Mrs. Penworth didn't say anything, so Layla wondered what had happened. At times like this, she wished Hen and Ishret were there with her. They would know what to say. At lunchtime, Layla's feet felt heavy. She was sure Mrs. Penworth hadn't seen the notes. Everyone would think she had forgotten her lunchbox again. As she was leaving class, Mrs. Penworth patted Layla on the back and handed her a message. Mrs. Penworth had made her capital L and Layla's name extra loopy. Dear Layla, I enjoyed your lovely poem about Ramadan. I'm impressed you're fasting. What a special time for you. You and your family must be thrilled. Would you share your poem with the class today after lunch? You could go to the library this month instead of the cafeteria. Mrs. Carmen is excited to see you. Sincerely, Mrs. Penworth. P.S. Mrs. Carmen told me you missed your friends. I hope you keep making new friends with our class. Layla twirled all the way to the library. She couldn't wait to share her Ramadan poem with her class. Later at Iftar, she would celebrate this day. The end. Thanks for listening, and thanks to the NEF for sponsoring our project. I'll be reading another book later. Bye-bye.